Hello. I guess I've been feeling like I need to talk about different things in the world. By the way, the name of the show is going to be, I said I will call it Carlitos Way. That's my first name. And for safety, reasons, that's the only name I'm going to give you, Carlitos Way. Obviously, now with technology, you can find people's whatever. But we're just going to leave it as that. And basically, my show that I want to do is going to be about almost everything. I would probably, I'm like 54 years old, so I want to talk about a lot of my experiences. To start off, I was born in a third world country, lived there until I was 11 or so, lived in Miami for a couple months, then moved to Chicago, where I grew up in a blues, steel mill area. Very tough places, unforgiving. You had to know how to really how to fight and be a tough person in that area. And then at the age of 19, I joined the Marine Corps. Did 12 years, 7 deployments, honorable discharge. So you can tell how much stories I might have. After getting out of the Marine Corps, I went and worked in the civilian, selling insurance. So we can go from there. And now I have a little personal business, independent, and that's how I get by. And you know, I'm married, 5 kids, so you can see where I can bring a lot of stories, stuff that happened to me, stuff happened to my kids. Most of the time, probably I'm not going to use their name, so I would just use a name. But the stories or everything I say would be like almost right on point. Sometimes something's got to be a little bit fiction for a little bit entertainment purposes or protection purposes. So, like I said, I would talk about a lot of things. I know one thing that I have done right now, and I'm going to let it out. I'm Catholic. I still go to church. I went to church today, but there's always little questions where we feel like we cannot ask, like, why is that? And I think I want to ask some questions or some conclusions or some ideas. And on this channel, what we want to do is just love each other and respect each other, to be honest. I'm not here to say, hey, you better than me, I'm better than you. None of that. We're just going to try to give information that can help us. I'm new at this, so I don't know how's this going to look, how is it going to work out. But today is sorry, May 31st. Supposed to be a blue moon, so I wanted to launch this on the blue moon. And like I said, I have a lot of experiences. I've been to like 19 different countries. Um, you know, I did 3 MEWs. That means you go on the ship, and like right now, the situation in Iran, when you hear 31st MEW and stuff like that, over here in California, we're the 13th MEW, 11th MEW, and 15th MEW, which I did 3 of them out of the 7. So that gives you a little bit of intro on, where I'm gonna come with my stories. Uh, you know, some of them are gonna make you cry. Some of them are gonna be sad. Um, my upbringing, and high school times, Marine Corps times, and you name it. But I know one thing, on everything that I done, most of the time, the reason why I want to call the show Carlitos Way, because most of the time I did the things my way. And, I'm 54 now, and I come down to the conclusion that things could have been way much easier if I would have done it with God in my heart all the time, 24/7, not just when I need Him. You know how we are. When everything's going good and you're getting paid and everything's going fine, you don't think that nothing ever going to stop you. And then next thing you know, here comes life and gives you a good kick in the butt. So, I have miracles that God has done for me, miracles He's done to my family, little synchronicities of miracles where I was like, oh my God, how I'm going to pay this. And all suddenly, literally, a check show up in the mail. So I have those little stories like that. Stories of addiction, alcohol. I went through a very rough patch, so, anybody's going through a rough patch. I'm not saying I don't drink anymore, but I can tell you that I'm 99% in the other side where very rare. And but it's still a demon. It's still a possibility to go back and revert back to that. But I don't think so. But I do consider myself a new person, literally like a new person. So now you can see if I'm talking about there's alcohol, there's obviously pain. I got 5 kids. You know, at one point I was a step kid, and guess what? I ended up with a step kid, and my 4 biological kids. But to me, they're all my kids. You know, I almost want to slip their names, but no, I can't do that, obviously. But I will be able to tell you stuff that they did, stuff that I taught them, and stuff that worked and stuff that didn't work. You know, so we got to see what's going on. Anyway, give me a second. Oh, sorry about that. That was my daughter's friend that is here. I almost said the name. Anyway, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about a lot of life experiences. My main goal here is to help anybody that might be struggling with alcohol, with a son that might have been doing drugs, what to do about it, or how to handle it. Now, everything's just stuff that I did. I'm no doctor. I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying, hey, if this helps, this idea might help you. Hopefully you would, go ahead and follow my advice or part of it. But it's all about helping people. That's the bottom line. Like for me, I battle with, like I said, alcohol. So it created a lot of problems for me, and you know what? Only on the grace of God, I was able to come back. I had a near-death experiences, meaning like some people think I'm a miracle that I'm here. So I cannot divulge that right now, but I think with time, I'll be able to say what it was. But I actually, pretty much, people think I'm a miracle. Like I would have died, and somehow I'm here. So, and unfortunately, my life, I had some events where it almost took my life, literally. Drown, fire. I was an earthquake. You name it, any kind of car accident. I had probably like too many already. Where I'm like, what the hell? I gotta. So like I said, I have a lot of experiences, a lot of things that I'm like, not so proud of. I'm not a perfect man by any means, and I want you to know that everybody's at fault. Nobody's perfect, and I never claim perfect. The only perfect one is Jesus Christ and God. So basically, that would be like my intro to you guys. If you guys wanna, hopefully at one point I can do like exchange. You ask a question and we can answer back and forth. But right now, I'm just me. I'm over here talking to you guys and telling you that God is great. That God, now that I look back in my life, when I thought I was being lucky, I wasn't being lucky. It was God. Remember, I don't know if you, the ones where you only see two sets of feet on the sand, and you're like, oh God, why you abandoned me? And in reality, it's the other way around. God was with me when I was the lowest, and He told me that I need to share my life with you guys, because maybe I'm saving somebody's life. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff that I'm not even going to mention right now, because I'm still debating if I'm going to open that or not. But there will be a lot of stuff where I'll be able to help you if I can. I got teenagers, so this show's for everybody. From not teenagers, I will say 18 and up. I really don't want to deal with the young people because I don't want no problems. Nowadays, things are crazy. And for me, I just rather you're an adult, come over here in this show, we'll talk, once we start doing back and forth. Like I said, I have a lot of experience, military, working on my own small business, let's say. So, and just nuggets of knowledge, and not only that, but maybe listen to some songs and say something about them. Let's just say the show would evolve eventually to do more than just one direct thing or politics. We can even touch politics, but in a once in a blue moon, I at one point I want to just go and do the whole show about politics because I know a lot. I think I do, but now I'm like, nah, too negative. I just want to talk about trying to help people. Oh, by the way, I like twice or three times I saved somebody from making real big mistakes. I think two of them were talking about committing suicide, and I think I was able to help them. And I actually met a demonic, a demon in like a human, and well, that's for me to tell you guys down the road. But yeah, it freaked me out. It's an event that when I came back, I was freaked out, and I told my wife about it, and I threw up. And 5, 10 years down the road, I told my wife, "Hey, remember when this happened?" And she was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." That even freaked me out even worse, even more, because I literally threw up when I got home. And I was freaked out of my head. And somehow my wife, the love of my wife, the love of my life, could not remember. And to this day, she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I'm on the other side going like, "Babe, remember I threw up in the tub and it was brown stuff coming out of me like the exorcist?" And she was like, "Nope." And I'm just like, how the hell that happened? I remember like it's to this day, I still remember the face, the everything, the conversation, what we said. It was weird like that. Anyway, this is my intro for the shows. I'm going to call it Carlitos Way. And the reason why is because instead of using God and have him guide me, I said, "No, God, I'll do this." And obviously, things were pretty hard because of that. Could have been easier if I would have just believed that God is in me all the time. Oh, by the way, wouldn't it be just better to say God is in you? We say the Holy Trinity, right? The Father, the Son, the Holy, right? When the Holy Trinity, the Holy Ghost, is actually in us, from my understanding. So God is already in us. So I'm a little bit, I guess a little contradictory, going like, do you want to accept Jesus in your life? I'm like, why am I going to accept him when he's already in me? And that's one thing I never did before. And probably I never accepted that he's in me, because if he's in me, that means I cannot get away with anything. And I think that sometimes in the church, especially as a little kid, I felt like God is like way far out there and he's so busy. And then that gives us the idea, because we're little kids at heart, to go ahead and, no, he ain't gonna find out. He's too busy and this and that. And then we end up walking on roads that we would have never have. But if we all would just, from little kid, we were told, hey, the Holy Spirit is in you. That means God is in you already. You don't have to accept him. He's already in you. You gotta activate him. He's your dad. He's your guardian angel. He's your everything. I think, like I look right now, they give Bibles to convicts. They're already in jail. They're probably doing life. There's probably a bigger church in jail than out here in liberty and freedom. That's crazy to say that, right? But then we cannot give a Bible to a kid in there. Not in there, a kid in, elementary or and I'm not saying to bring church all the way in super deep, but at least something. Whoever wants it, they should be able to go get it. How about freedom of religion? If they want to pray, they can pray. If they don't want to, you don't have to. And that way, everybody can get to choose. But we need God. We need Jesus back to our schools, not in jail. Yes, in jail, but I'm saying that's a little bit too late, isn't it? So anyway, I don't want to bore you more. This is just my intro of what it's going to be about, my shows. And we're going to do a lot of freestyle, meaning that sometimes I was just going to call a freestyle day. Whatever comes, whatever God wants me to talk to you guys about, I would. And this is not a religious thing where we're going to be I mean, I'll read a little bit of the Bible, yes, but not to the point where you're going to be like, oh my God, that's what you talk about. No, it's basically life experiences. How I'll be able to help you guys on whatever I can do. Um, you know, I'm a very grateful man now. You know, like I said, God is in me. And now that God is with me, in me every day, I got to purify myself. And what I mean by that is get rid of all the stuff that doesn't feed my soul the right way. I guess that's for lack of better words. Watch what I listen. And yes, at one point I liked the rap, I like all this other stuff. I used to be like boxing. I used to watch, I wouldn't miss a sport, literally from basketball to baseball to freaking football. Hockey, I did it a couple of times. And somehow, little by little, I've been disconnected from the matrix. You know, I stopped watching basketball. Next thing you know, I stopped watching baseball. I was watching NFL, but then when they didn't do something good with the flag, it pissed me off, and I stopped watching it for 7 years. And I just been slowly disconnecting from all of this. And guess what I found out? I had more time for me. Instead of giving my energy to them, now I'm working in my energy, my field. What does Carlos want? What does Carlos need? What does Carlos be able to do when he's much better mentally, physically? And how much longer I'm gonna last because now I'm taking care of myself instead of drinking 4 or 5 days a week. That's how much I used to drink back in 3 years back. So, so if you think about drinking and having an addiction like that, where everywhere it's around you, and but it's not good for you, yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys will come and look at my show. It's gonna, if I can name it, will be Carlitos Way, and we'll go from there. But everything's gonna be about life, examples, solutions, if I can, jokes, funny stories, fight stories. Except you're in the Marines, you get a fight here and there, and then if you live in Chicago, you know that's gonna happen. So that is my intro, and have a good day.